Broadcasting from New Braunfels, Texas, home of the historic Green Hall and the best river tubing in America. You're listening to PX1 Sports Radio, where we cover the hottest topics in the sports gaming world and the world of sports entertainment. Here's your host, Mike Peters.
What is up, everyone? It is a very eventful Friday afternoon, Friday, May 12th, 2017, and we have our first details regarding Madden 18. That is super exciting for most of you guys, which are Madden fans. I was definitely excited about all the stuff that we learned today. Twitter was going crazy. Lots of things going up on YouTube and stuff like that. We got a video out talking about 3-on-3 team play. We got one out yesterday talking about defensive matchups, best on best. So lots of stuff to cover today. I'll try to keep it within the 30-minute time window that we normally shoot for, but I definitely want to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on everything. We also have the Madden Championship round of 16 that's going on. Watched a little bit of that earlier. Saw Beast Mode Mac and Volterax going at it, and Volterax, man, that was crazy. Chris Johnson ran for over 240 some yards, I think, last I saw, with 3 touchdowns, and Swerve wasn't a huge part of that game. He kind of won it without it. It was mostly the run game, which was pretty impressive. So lots of Madden talk going on today. We also have some news from MLB The Show. They are going to give away a 10-pack along with 11,000 stubs to everyone who had logged in and played the game and experienced a lot of the online issues. Funny thing was, I had mentioned on Twitter that I thought a 10-pack and 10,000 stubs would be the way to go, so they went up to me by 1,000 stubs. So that's definitely interesting to have a player roster update today, which I haven't even got to. So much Madden news out there. I hadn't even looked at the new player roster update for MLB The Show, so I'll have to check that out. I know I saw Jonathan Villar went from an 85 to an 82. Somebody had texted me that, so definitely need to check that out. But Madden is the king today. We are going to talk about everything that was released and talked about in the last couple of days, go over the trailer and what we saw in that. So definitely buckle up. It's going to be a lot if you haven't seen it already, which would surprise me. But if you haven't, we're going to go over it all and kind of catch you up on what we know. So first things first, we know that Tom Brady is going to be on the cover of Madden. I believe this is the first time he's ever been on the cover, which is kind of interesting considering how long he's been around. He is not at all worried about the Madden cover curse. He put out a video today. I don't know where it was initially, but I saw it on TMZ, where basically he smashed a mirror and walked under a ladder, basically saying, I don't believe in superstitions. And, you know, if there's one guy that can do everything anti-superstition, you know, walk in front of a black cat, whatever, and still have a productive season, it's Tom Brady. You know, he came back from the suspension, had an amazing season. Patriots win the Super Bowl last year. You know, I mean, whatever you say about the Patriots and Brady, the guy is impressive. You know, I, like some people, you know, would wonder if it wasn't Belichick and the Patriots system, what would he be? But you can say that about anybody. Aikman, Montana, you know, a lot of those guys. So, I mean, it's kind of an invalid argument, but very interesting to see Brady on the cover. And what I wonder if could be his last year. I know he says he wants to play several more years. But, you know, hey, what if they go out and they have a successful season again and he calls it quits, you know, at the end of his career, he appears on the cover of Madden. That would be very interesting. So Brady's on the cover of both the regular edition and the GOAT edition, greatest of all time. That's going to be kind of interesting. I'm guessing they're not doing a MUT specific, well, I guess it's kind of MUT, but, you know, usually they have I don't even remember what they call it, but it was basically the MUT version. It was $20 more, and you got packs and stuff like that. So they're going to have the GOAT version. You know, I guess they got to do that with Brady on the cover. And I would not be surprised if they do some more things GOAT-related, because the interesting thing with that is they have some other players making their return to Madden who had not been in quite a while, or maybe ever, at least since they retired. Ray Lewis, obviously Madden 2005 cover boy, he is returning as one of the 5 GOAT elite players that you can get. The way I understand it is if you get the GOAT edition, you get to play the game 3 days early, and then you also get You can pick one of these 5 guys to start your team. I believe I heard they're 95 overall. Not 100% sure on that, but they are going to be an elite version of them. So you get Tom Brady, Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice, Ray Lewis, or Deion Sanders. That's all pretty cool. The big news, Ray Lewis and Barry Sanders coming back in the game is huge. I've always been a big proponent of having as many players from each team as possible. So for guys that want to flesh out their team in all one team, they can do that. And with some of these teams, that's been kind of hard to do at certain positions. I put together a team recently with the Vikings, and my only right outside linebacker was a 71 overall Chad Greenway. So I hope they fix things like that. I don't know if this says anything about that, but definitely seeing Barry Sanders and Ray Lewis make their returns is interesting. I would almost 100% guarantee there's going to be a 99 version of all 5 of those players at some point. As you've seen this year, the longer they go, they kind of run out of things to put out there. So pretty much everybody gets a 99 version at some point. So I think you can definitely guarantee that with them. They'll probably come earlier than later. They'll probably do those guys at 99 overall before they start getting into some of the other players. But that's very interesting, especially Lewis and Sanders. So I'm kind of interested to see how that goes. Release date was kind of confusing when they announced it, because typically you expect Madden to come out on a Tuesday, and they're doing it a little bit different this year, apparently. I asked Rex on Twitter about it, didn't get a response, so I guess it's all correct. The trailer said August 25th is release date, which is a Friday, which is very strange because typically all games are typically released on Tuesday, although I think we've seen a few games recently go with Friday releases, so maybe that's going to try to kind of shift the trend. One of our guys pointed out, Friday's a good day to release games because people can play it all weekend, and maybe you get better sales numbers with your official release on a Friday. So that's going to be kind of interesting. So Friday, August 25th, official release date. Now, if you get the GOAT edition, which I think you have to pre-order the GOAT edition, you're going to be able to unlock that in its entirety on August 22nd. Now, that may just be a download version, and then you actually have to pick up your copy on Friday. They didn't give specific details on that, but I'm kind of guessing that's what's going to happen is you download the GOAT edition, you get to play that for 3 days digitally, and then you can go pick up your copy at Best Buy, GameStop, or wherever, maybe get it delivered by Amazon. EA Access back again for Xbox One. You will get that access on August 17th, which is a Thursday, so that's 8 days before the official release, and you will get 10 hours like normal to try out the game. So, in theory, if you pre-order the GOAT edition, you can log in, play the game Thursday, you get your 10 hours over the weekend. Tuesday, you can download the GOAT edition, you can play that, and then Friday, the official version comes out. So kind of interesting to see how that's all going to work out, but it's going to kind of taper and spread out the release. It's going to have a lot of guys trying it out early. I don't know if this plays into them wanting to get more feedback before the official launch comes out. Maybe that's why they're doing the GOAT and the EA Access so much earlier. I think usually you have a Tuesday release in EA Access on Thursday. Here you're getting it 8 days earlier. So maybe they can find some of the stuff. I mean, it's not really time to fix a whole lot and get a patch out, but I know Rex is trying to go to tuners on a lot of stuff more. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see how that all works. Imagine they're going to bring back the beta maybe in a more expanded scope than they did before, and hopefully this have a better release. But definitely exciting stuff they put out there. We'll talk about a couple of things that I did videos on. If you guys want to go to YouTube and check it out, YouTube/PX1 Sports will get you there. I did one yesterday on defensive matchups, and the details that were found on Amazon today listed coverage assignment as one of the details of Madden 18. So it basically goes the same thing. Have no idea the scope of what it's going to be, but basically best on best defensive assignments are going to be back in Madden 18 this year. We'll have to see how they do it. Is it just going to be cornerbacks that you can line up on wide receivers? Are you going to be able to put linebackers on tight ends or running backs? Are you going to be able to put safeties on receivers, running backs, tight ends, whatever? Definitely going to be interesting to see that. But I did go back when I was researching my video for the defensive assignments yesterday and played Madden 08, which was the last real version that they had it. And I mean, it was interesting. You could put any defensive player on any offensive player. Now, they didn't follow with zone coverage, which is one of the things I noticed. And I think I remember that being one of the complaints back then, because it kind of gave away that you were in man coverage, right? If you assign Josh Norman to play on Des Bryant the entire game. But Norman is only following Bryant when you're in man coverage. Well, it gives away with the defense. You're going to know if your opponent's in man or zone based on whether the guy follows him or not. Now, obviously, if he's playing in his normal position, no. But if you move Dez to the other side, put him in the slot, whatever, and Norman's not with them, then you're going to kind of give it away. So hopefully they took that into account. They just didn't borrow directly from the PS2 version and regular Xbox version, and they thought that through a little bit. So hopefully they will follow him even in zone coverage, which is good because honestly, if I put my best defensive player on a certain receiver, I don't want him just to cover him in man. I want him to be in that area too on a zone, assuming that player runs a route in his area. So that's going to be interesting to see how that all works out. I also did a video today where it looks like 3-on-3 team play is coming to Madden 18 this year. Team play hasn't been in the game since the PS2 version. A lot of things that haven't been in the game in 10 years are coming back this year, it seems. So that is very good news for a lot of people that like that. Basically today, we saw on this from the PSN store, we saw that it says 2 to 6 players online. And if you look at the Madden 17 box, it says only 2 players online. So that has to mean that you can have 6 players at one time. And the only reasonable deduction from that is that it's going to be 3-on-3 team play. So, and Rex also, somebody asked Rex about that on Twitter, and he responded with a picture of a guy holding up 3 fingers. So again, Rex knows what he's doing when he puts this stuff out on Twitter. I think he's teasing it. I think he understands people are going to realize what he's talking about, but they're not officially announcing it yet. They're going to spread out everything over the next week or two, maybe 3 or 4 weeks leading up to EA Play, and gradually kind of release the information. They might do it every Friday, which is going to get people excited. I mean, right now I'm excited. I want to know everything right now, so having to wait until next Friday would kind of suck, but we're going to see a lot of stuff over the next couple weeks leading up to EA Play, which by then pretty much everything should be out about the game for the most part. And then, we'll get hands-on impressions and everything at EA Play. And for the most part, I think everything should be announced by then. But definitely going to be a very exciting next few weeks. So defensive assignments for sure coming back. Some kind of 3-on-3 version, it looks like. Don't know exactly how. Somebody speculated that maybe it's going to be a 3-on-3 NFL blitz type thing, which I guess is possible. I think it's going to be 11-on-11, but you can just have 3 guys on each side of the ball. So maybe one guy's a quarterback, one's a running back, one's a wide receiver, or one's a quarterback and 2 are wide receivers. And then on defense, they can play any 3. It'll be interesting to see how that works. I wonder if they're going to try to make it some kind of competitive thing, if they're going to make that, try to work that towards that angle, like an NBA 2K is, or if they're going to keep their competitive just one-on-one. I would think early on, the 3-on-3, they're going to work out a lot of bugs. It's going to be hard to understand how guys are going to play, and they're going to be able to exploit the AI, I would think, to some degree. However, doing 3-on-3, you can have guys kind of cover, each side of the field if you break it up into thirds. So that should cut it down a little bit. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see how that works and how people feel about it. But definitely interesting there. One of the big things, for a lot of us that are following this is we've talked about, the gameplay and, how it's too arcade for a lot of people. We, in our leagues, and a lot of people that follow us kind of strive for more simulation, more authenticity. And we want our games to feel like a real NFL game versus, super powered players versus having no fumbles or no interceptions or no penalties, stuff like that. We want everything you see in a real NFL game to be in our game. So they also announced that there's going to be 3 different modes in the game. There's going to be arcade, simulation, and competitive. And arcade is just going to be kind of, wild and out, just arcade football, right? Not a lot of penalties, just probably not great defense. It's going to be high scoring, throw the ball around, big runs, whatever. Simulation, we're guessing, based on the brief description they gave us, is going to basically be all the NFL rules, player and team ratings matter. Going to try, hopefully, to simulate real NFL football within the simulation play style. And then there's going to be a competitive play style, which hopefully isn't too much different, because I know there are some guys in the sim community, NYKia being one of them. I wouldn't mind dabbling my toes in a little bit if the gameplay was a little bit more balanced. But there are guys that are going to want to be simulation, but also play competitive, or at least attempt it. So hopefully they don't stray too far in a competitive. But the competitive is going to be what all of their competitive games will be played on. Probably won't have penalties or injuries, and might have a few tweaks. Basically, user skill is prevalent. We might still see users being a little more able to do some unrealistic things. Like this year, user linebackers can run around, basically cover 3 routes, and also shoot gaps, kind of all at one time. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous what they can do, and a lot of competitive guys complain about that. They think it's too easy. Maybe that's more related to just the user lurk, but I don't know. Maybe they want to be able to run all over the field. We'll see. I hope not, because I just find that kind of weak that one guy can run around like that. But maybe the feedback that they get from competitive guys and the online community is that they like that. So we'll see. But regardless, from at least here into the near future, we're going to have 3 different modes, which is going to separate the different kind of gameplay. Arcade, you would think, is directed more at the casuals. Simulation, the hardcore guys like us, the CFM guys, and then competitive, obviously, the online guys that are trying to play in tournaments and win money. What I would also guess is that they're going to have some kind of metric that's going to be able to look at each of the 3 game modes and see the statistics from each of them in how they are performing. So if they see in simulation games that we're getting, 7 sacks per game on 5-minute quarters, and we're running for 6 yards per carry, and we're getting 4 interceptions a game, well, they can tune that then to try to meet what they feel is a more simulation representation of the game. Hopefully they have all 3 have different. Arcade is going to be for casuals, like, hey, balls to the wall, goes out and do that. Probably not going to be a lot of a sacks, probably not a lot of interceptions. So I'll keep an eye on that, and they can probably tune that separately. Simulation, do our thing, and then competitive, they can kind of look at that, and we'll see what kind of metrics they use for that. But I would guess, based on conversations with Rex and things that he said, they're going to have a way to track that, and they can tune each one of those individually, which is great news for a lot of people. Me personally, I would still like to get one game that everybody can play, but hey, if that doesn't look like that's going to happen and there's just a ton of infighting, great. Let's split them up into 3 different modes, and then everybody gets their own style. And, if you don't like the other one, you stick to the one you like. And so that alleviates a lot. It is kind of hard to cross over in between the 2, but really competitive is the only one. And, honestly, you just got to decide. You want to be competitive, you want to be simulation. I don't have a huge problem with that. I think it's going to offset a lot of headaches. So definitely excited to see what they wind up doing with all of those things. We'll go over the features here real quick. Obviously, Frostbite is going to be a big part of it. It's going to allow better graphics, better lighting, probably some better physics and stuff like that. We talked about that before. A lot has been done on that, so we'll leave that one alone. Play Now Live is, from what I've read on that, basically they're going to have maybe matchups from that week, or maybe even things throughout the season, specific kind of setups that you can jump in and play. I don't know exactly how they do it, but I think initially it's going to be like the matchups from that week, but they might have the ability to add in like big moments from out the season, which is what it says on there. Play the best real world matchups each week. So I don't know. I thought they were together. Maybe they're separate. We'll see we'll get more information on that. Target passing, kind of worried about this one, honestly, but got faith in the guys to do it right. I'm hoping it's not going to be another vision cone. That one failed miserably. I know some sim guys like it, thought it was realistic. In some sense it is, but it is a very big diversion from what we typically see for Madden, and it's kind of hard to use the stick and aim where you're looking and then throw the ball. I hated it back at the time, but I'm more of a sim guy now, more authenticity guy now. So I was kind of at that time transitioning from playing tournaments and stuff like that to becoming a sim guy. So I'd be more open to it now, but I don't think it's something that the community as a whole would really take on. I think hardcore sim guys, I think maybe competitive guys would like it, but I really don't like the field being dark down and having the vision. It just doesn't look real. Like I want my games to feel real when I'm playing them, and the vision cone just takes away from that because it's not what you see in a real broadcast. So I'm kind of interested to see what they do with that. I'm hoping that maybe it's just more of like being able to lead receivers, being able to get true back shoulder fades and stuff like that. I don't know how they do that, without maybe having a vision cone. Although vision cone doesn't really necessarily let you lead a receiver. If he's running diagonally away from you, it doesn't necessarily make you be able to lead him. So definitely gonna be interesting to see what that. I am kind of concerned, if it's some kind of vision cone, but we'll see with it. It's interesting nonetheless. Coverage assignments, we talked about that. Coach adjustments. Now, this is one of the things that almost nobody's talking about on Twitter, but it could be one of the most impactful ones. What I'm guessing when I hear coach adjustments is if you think back to NCAA 13 and 14, maybe even 12, I don't remember what year they brought it in. Remember, Rex and Clint worked on NCAA. I know 14 for certain. I know Clint was part of 13. I think Rex was also. So they worked on NCAA. And I would imagine if you think back to NCAA, the coach adjustments where you could pull up the screen and you could say, we want to play aggressive, strip the ball now, or you want to play a conservative, you want to go aggressive for interceptions or play regular aggressive fumbles versus regular, and you have a risk reward. If you're going for a fumble, you might miss a tackle, but you might create the fumble, or you might play more conservative where you just want to make the tackle and you're not as worried about giving up or creating the fumble, but you might allow guys to kind of march down the field. That's kind of what I picture when I hear coach adjustments. I don't really know what other way you could go with it, but either way, it's exciting to know that there's going to be something in there that allows you to adjust and adapt to what your players and your opponent are doing on the field during that game. Super, super excited to find out more about that. That could definitely be a game changer. One thing I want to go into, right before we touch on this last one, I heard yesterday somebody with EA, an executive, said something. We're doing an interview, and I don't remember where it was. I tried to find it earlier, but I couldn't. But they said Madden 18 is going to be, and I'm paraphrasing, this isn't an exact quote, but Madden 18 is basically going to be the most revolutionary version of the game in 10 years. Okay, so basically, they're pointing back to Madden 08, which is really the last kind of PS2 Xbox game that got decent amount of attention before the focus fully shifted to the PS3 and Xbox 360. And as most of you guys know, we lost a lot in that transition. I've talked about it in the blogs before. Basically, the reason being is the PS3 was super, super difficult to program for. Sony overcomplicated things. Don't know why, but there was a book, like a huge, thick, like 6-inch thick book that was a manual for programming for the PlayStation 3. And it made things super, super complex in programming. And that's why they had to strip out a lot of features that were in the PS2 version because they couldn't get it to work on the new system. And then they just never got them back in the game. And then before you know it, PS4 is on us and we still don't have them in the game. And Xbox One, I'm not leaving you guys out, but so we never got them back in the game. So now, 10 years later, we're finally getting to the point where that stuff that used to be in the game, they're finally able to figure out with the new technology how to get it in there. And that's really important. A lot of guys miss that, and they don't realize that it's a technology issue. It wasn't that they just pulled it out for no reason. They pulled it out because it was just Sony made it so hard to get all those things in there and to do the things that they wanted, and they've really not recovered. So finally, it looks like 10 years later, they're trying to go back and add some of that stuff in. Obviously, coach adjustments, if they do it like NCAA, that's just PS3, Xbox 360 days. But it looks like they're going back, 4, 5, 10 years into the past, looking at the great things that Madden had before, and they're trying to bring them forward and put them back in the game and make people love the game again like they did back then when they were selling 8-10 million copies. So that's exciting to see. And that means there could be more things coming out that we don't know about that they didn't put in the initial details that Amazon had listed today. So super excited about that and seeing everything they can do. It definitely feels like a new age for Madden, and a lot of guys that have been complaining about the things that were taken out 9-10 years ago, finally getting back in the game. Last thing on the details was favorite ways to play MUT and franchise. I don't know if that really says anything. Could just be regular whatever, but basically we know MUT and franchise are going to be in there, right? So that's the basic gist of it. Pre-order bonus. There's going to be 12 squad packs. Don't know what those are going to entail. It says $50 of additional value and 3 days early access when you pre-order the GOAT edition. Or actually, if you just do a pre-order, you'll get full access to the GOAT edition. So I don't know, that's going to be weird. I don't know what the GOAT edition is going to be, how it's going to be different, but you get early access to that. So obviously, it's going to be a downloaded version. You get in a choice of one of 5 GOAT elite players, which is the 5 we talked about: Brady, Sanders, Rice, Lewis, or Dion. So you get to take one of those to start your team. You also get an elite player from your favorite team, then 12 squad packs and 2,500 contracts, which I hate contracts. I wish they'd get rid of them, but for whatever reason, they're keeping them in there. So that's basically what you're going to get with your pre-order. A decent, I mean, you're going to get 2 elite players, so that's pretty good for a pre-order. That definitely makes things a little bit interesting. For those of you that have looked at the trailer, I'm going to watch the trailer back while I'm talking to you guys. Just see if there's anything that I noticed. The first thing they show is stadium. You're going to notice the lighting a little bit. Guys have said that they notice things more graphically. I haven't really seen it myself. I don't see what guys are seeing. Maybe a little bit with the lighting, but for the most part, it looks similar to me to 17. I'm sure it's going to be a little bit more refined and look better, but it's just a teaser trailer. It's definitely brighter. The one where Ezekiel Elliott spins, the lighting definitely looks bright on that. So that's interesting. And then the end of the trailer is certainly seeming to signify that a single player story mode, much like FIFA's The Journey, much like 2K's My Player, is coming to Madden. It shows a guy in his hotel room getting up off his bed and then looking across the street at Lucas Oil Stadium, which is where the NFL Combine is held. So that is definitely a big thing. I know they teased it. I knew EA Sports AJ Andrew Johnson had tweeted out about it. Make sure you stay tuned for that. That's not something they put in the early details. So that tells you there could be a lot more coming that aren't part of the initial details. The single player story mode is not part of those details. So what else is not part of those details that's going to be in the game and very big? I mean, single player story mode is huge, and to not have that as part of your initial offering when guys are able to start pre-ordering, wow, what else is going to come? Who knows? Probably not going to be a whole lot super big, because obviously you gotta code all that stuff, and that takes a lot of time. So 99.9999% sure some kind of single player story mode is coming. That's going to be exciting for a lot of guys that like that. I played a little bit of 2K. Probably could have played a little bit more. I don't know how much I'm going to get into it. I kind of just want to play my games. I like Road to the Show a little bit better because it's a little bit easier to go through without a lot of extra stuff. But I know a lot of guys like FIFA and the My Player, and it sold more copies, especially with FIFA. They had something like 12 million players playing that mode, and they sold 21 million copies this year. So that could be a big game changer for Madden this year and getting a lot more people playing the game. Definitely going to be interesting to see what they do with that. It's an exciting time overall. With the different gameplay modes, splitting everybody up, trying to give them what they want. Coach adjustments coming back, defensive assignments coming back, some kind of superstar mode, single player story mode, most likely making its return. The GOAT, with Barry Sanders and Ray Lewis coming back and joining Dion and Jerry Rice and Tom Brady. There's a lot already, and we've only been given a little bit, but there's already a lot that's changed. I definitely want to see what they did to man coverage, how they improved that. Definitely want to see blocking. I know Clint was working on blocking for like screens and stuff like that. So definitely want to see, core gameplay stuff is going to rule the day, right? They can have a single player story mode. They can have all this other stuff, but if the gameplay is not good, if there's another swerve, if there's some kind of, glitch or whatever that, you can exploit the deep ball, or you can exploit a certain run, toss plays, or halfback screens, whatever. If anything's kind of not tuned right, where there's a huge exploit, it's obviously going to throw things off. But I think they've got a ton of feedback over the last couple of years. You can tell from listening to them, they want to make the best game possible. They want to kill it. They want to give everybody what they want. Rex has said on Twitter, he wants to make every fan happy. That's his goal. I think it's a noble idea. I don't think you're ever going to do that. There's always going to be people that hate, but hey, you're striving to try to appease as many people as possible. Give them all the perfect game that they love to play for their same $60 without even doing microtransactions or anything else. That's amazing. I mean, that's a great ideal. I mean, you can't really hate on them for doing that. So that's basically it. I mean, that's everything that has come out today. If you guys haven't heard already, hopefully that caught you guys up to date and gave you a little bit of info on what's to come. Still going to be a lot to come out there, developer blogs, more videos and stuff like that. So definitely interested to see all of that stuff. I hope you guys got a little bit of information on it, was able to share my ideas. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure to go to Twitter, tweet at PX1 Sports. Let us know what you think about it. Go to YouTube. We also put it on YouTube. Go to YouTube, post it in the comments. Let us know what you think about what's been released so far. What do you think is coming in Madden 18 that they haven't released yet? What are the things that you're most excited about? What are you kind of worried about? Let us know. Let's have a discussion. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say because it's definitely going to be an exciting time. And me personally, I'm excited again. I'm hoping that Madden this year is going to be the best Madden ever. A lot of things coming back that haven't been in the game in several years, along with improved gameplay. It's going to be hard not to give the crown to Madden 18. Some people still think 05, 06, even 04. 08 was a pretty good game that I played. But, let's hope that all that stuff gets put to rest this year. And Madden 18, hands down, is the greatest football game ever made. All these people that are living 10 years in the past and remembering those games, hopefully they get what they wanted and they can now jump into the new future or the present day and love Madden as it is today. That's all we can hope for. Get everybody on the same boat. And, hey, if they're selling 10, 12 million copies like they did in, 04, 05, 06, then that was when I was playing tournaments in bars. You could go into bars all over the city and find Madden tournaments because it was just a huge thing back then. So maybe we'll see that again. I'd love to see that. I'd love to have bars hosting tournaments on weekends or even during the week, whatever. So let's hope that Madden's super successful, and this is by far the best Madden, the best football game we've ever seen. And we take off from here, and then all the past is behind us, so we can all be super excited about each and every iteration of Madden from here on out. So again, hope you guys tune into us on Twitter and YouTube. Share your comments with us. Share what you think. And we will be back next week with anything else that we find. Hopefully, we can also get into a little MLB The Show talk then, too. It's going to depend on how much Madden overwhelms us, but we will definitely see. Hope you guys all have a fantastic weekend. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. All of your comments and everything is very much appreciated. Glad we can bring you guys some kind of entertainment, enjoyment, and news. We will catch you guys next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of the PX1 Sports Radio Podcast. For more, you can find us on Twitter at PX1 Sports or online at px1sports.com. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.